Hello, hello, hello.
Hey, everyone.
Welcome to Well Shit. It really is that simple.
Yay.
Hopefully, this is the first episode that you're listening to because
it says watch this first.
However, I will say that if you have been with us for some time, I mean, because this... it's fair to say that we're recording this a little ways into the podcast.
Just a year.
I mean...
So...
like 18 months. 70 odd episodes in. So yeah, so if there's no judgment if this is not the first episode you're watching, because the chances are you may have been with us for a while and then all of a sudden this pops up and you go, wait, hold on a second, I didn't see that before. That's because it didn't exist before. But we having got into this kind of groove of recording podcasts as we have over the last 18 months, we realized that there were some things that we wanted to share up front. Mm-hmm. Like if we were out having a conversation, in a coffee shop or at a bar or at an event or something, we start talking to people about the podcast. There are some things, a piece of information that we actually give to people. And we're like, hold on a second. Wouldn't it be helpful to give that to the people listening to and watching the podcast? I mean, yeah, as an idea.
You know.
So we decided we would record this episode. So it may be, I'm not really sure how we put it in at the beginning. We may not be able to. So if it shows out of sequence and suddenly you go, wait, hold on a second, watch this first. I'm like 65 episodes in. How the hell am I only seeing this now? It's okay. We're just kind of giving this for people who are new to us. And if you want to listen to it too, it might be helpful for if you want to share the podcast with other people, giving them a little bit of this might be a good way of doing it. So we wanted to welcome you and basically just say hi.
Hi. Also important, we should probably, for the people who haven't been with us, we should probably introduce ourselves or introduce each other, because some of you might be part of our couch team where you feel like you're sitting right in between us. Right. And we've actually had listeners who have been like, feels like I'm sitting on the couch right with you guys drinking my cup of tea. And it's like, yay! Yes, that's what we want. And we realize some of you are new to the podcast. So welcome to new, old, returning.
Hi, it's nice to meet you.
Well, and while she's at it, that is Claire. Over to my left, maybe your right. We don't know exactly where we're laying out on here, but
I'm the one in the purple top if you're watching. Right? And if you're not watching, it doesn't matter which side I'm on.
She's the Brit.
Yes, yeah. The accent kind of gives it away.
Yeah, I do a piss poor British accent.
Don't do that.
We're not going to even go there.
No, don't do it. Don't do it.
We're talking about Claire. Some things that you are going to get to know over the course of this podcast, but we'll let you know up front. She is a salsa dancing, karaoke singing lady. She's actually a singer in general, so don't, if you ever hear her at karaoke, people are like, where have you been hiding that voice? And she's like, I work. I sing karaoke.
Someone said to me, like, where do you sing? I'm like, here. On the stage at karaoke. I mean, I have sung other places, yes. But yeah, and I don't take that and being like, oh God, I'm not going to sing when she's there. We love supporting everybody at karaoke, no matter what voice you've got, no matter how much experience. If it's your first time ever, we'll be there cheering on.
If you're having a good time, and even if you're not having a good time, we'll be up there with the tambourines, getting you into the good times.
Bit of support, a little more support going on. So yeah.
We do love a good time, both of us. Claire likes to create experiences for other people, and to travel is, I'd have to say, one of your top
you don't get to be an international house sitter for how many years without enjoying traveling.
Yes. Traveling. Food. She is a diehard foodie, a vegan, but she has taught me that vegan food can be delicious. And I have to say, I mean, I've been vegan. I'm currently not vegan. The things she is able to do with food is, I mean, you know what I'm thinking of, eggs Benedict.
Oh yeah, I know exactly what you're going.
I'm not going to get into that dish. I actually think I do in a different episode, but
I think you might mention it. Yeah.
Yeah. Fuck, she's a good cook. So we'll leave it at that one with that. But she loves hugs, and I have to say, I think Claire's favorite thing is helping people with their needs and helping people identify how they're using or not using their needs to make their lives better and improve their situation and where they're at. It's a magical thing to watch.
I have the best job in the world. I really do.
Now we have the best job
in the world, right? And we get to come and talk about it. I mean, even better.
Yes.
One of my other skills I will share a little later in context because I think that it's in relation to some of Serena's special skills. So we'll get onto
off
that.
Track and
Yes,
swearing.
yeah. I mean, pretty much, yeah. So that was all about me, but now let's talk about Serena. So Serena is, we think, to my right. We'll find out on the screen, and if
it's
you're
a surprise for all of us.
Yeah, if you're on the audio, it doesn't matter which side she's on. So you will get to know a lot about Serena's world joining us on this podcast. If you didn't know already, she is a diehard glitter fan. Like glitter, I actually bought her for a Christmas present last year. A little bag of emergency glitter that she can carry around with her because you never know when you're going to need it. And I think it was hands down the most successful Christmas present I've ever bought anyone ever. And it probably cost about $6 total. It
comes out in the grocery store.
It wasn't the only thing she got, but it was definitely the most successful. So you'll get to know that she enjoys a coffee. You'll get to learn about the love of her life, and I'm not talking about her husband Joe, who she does love, but I'm talking about her cat Larry, who is
he's the best.
Like he's probably the single most mentioned other creature on this podcast, although he's never actually been on it yet.
Yeah.
There will be an episode coming. We're both dancers. She's a dancer as well. We both like creating experiences. We both love a good costume and
theme
theme and creating an adventure. Like the amount of time it's like let's just go have an adventure today. I mean, God knows where we're going to end up if that's how it starts. But the good thing is we'll share it through our social media, so you'll get to join the party, and there'll probably be a podcast episode about it afterwards. So she has an interesting relationship with arrival times. Sometimes, I mean, the good thing is she's consistent with it. But consistently not quite there at the time she's meant to be. But we've learned how to work with this. And
we've taken my human traits and we found something that works for both of us.
Absolutely. She definitely brings more of the kind of colorful language to the podcast. Although definitely something that I have embraced through the 70 or 80 episodes that we've recorded so far. In fact, I actually think, didn't your husband have something to say about that?
Oh yeah, the first time that Claire dropped an F-bomb on the podcast, he was like, "Whoa, oh, that was a bit jarring. Like Claire swore," and I'm like, "Yeah," and I'm like, "I swear all the time on there," and he goes, "But she does it like that's."
Yeah, he's used to you swearing all the time. But the thing is that I have no issue with swearing. But if I'm doing it, there's normally a damn good reason for it. So yeah, it's definitely a setup.
I just fucking swear all the time. So
there you go. And the other thing is that she has a very interesting train of thought. Whimsical train of thought. It does divert at times. It does disconnect completely from the conversation that we were previously having at times. But normally, one of my special skills is normally being able to kind of just gently encourage the train back to the topic that we were originally going to be talking about.
Or sometimes just rooting me on as I go
or
completely
rogue. Jumping on the train and just heading off in that direction.
We've had a couple of episodes that it has completely derailed, but in like an amazing way. It's like, I didn't even know there was a track here.
Right.
We're going.
Yeah, look. And it's like sometimes that's where the best podcast episodes come from, because it's like, oh wow, okay, this is where we're going. Yeah. Okay, this is where we're going.
We finished the podcast, we're like,
buckle up.
That was different.
That was different. Yeah, I like it. We're like, in fact, quite often those episodes are the ones where we look down and go, oh shit, we didn't hit record, which has happened on multiple occasions, and you'll hear a lot about that throughout the podcast episodes as they unfold.
Now we have one more member of our team that comes up pretty often.
I keep forgetting about introducing her. I know.
About our Niggle monster. If you're not watching the video, I highly suggest going on YouTube just for a moment so you can see. If you were a child of the 80s or 90s, you definitely need to, because you'll recognize. We wanted somebody to help us out with our Niggle monster, and we were trying to get suggestions on a monster, and we have come up with the first of
first iteration. Well, and the thing is that if you are wondering what the hell's a niggle monster, go and listen to the Clearing Niggles episode, because that will explain everything. I think the niggle monster needs a name. I think we're going to need to name the niggle monster. So if you come up with a name for the niggle monster, let us know, because he shows up pretty regularly, and once you watch that episode, you'll understand why. And what does he have on his back?
He has his own backpack full of emergency glitter.
There you go. So no podcast episode is safe from the potential of a glitter ball, which it has happened before, and will happen again, I'm sure.
Oh yes. Well, isn't that what emergency glitter is for?
Absolutely. It's all you need in life. All you need in life, apparently. And if you don't have it, then make sure your niggle monster has it, because at least if you haven't got it yourself, your niggle monster's got it.
Well, and I know so many people are probably listening. Fucking niggle monster, like what? Like that's stupid, that's silly, whatever it is.
It is.
And if you listen, how many people I've heard these days slipping niggle in, and then I'm like, and like they're talking and they don't even realize, they're like, I'm just kind of niggled by this, because it is such a pass the salt way of being like, I'm having an issue, I'm feeling something, I'm feeling
some kind of way.
And actually, one of our clients I was talking to the other day, and she's like, I just wanted to clear a quick niggle, and I was like, yes, like, and her clearing a quick niggle meant you did something that impacted me, so I knew that it was coming to me, and I'm like, yes, like, clear that niggle.
And I was talking to someone who listens to the podcast the other day, and they were talking about we don't want to create a niggle monster. I'm like, no, we don't want to create a niggle monster.
Niggles. Give me your niggles.
We love our niggle monster, but we don't want to make more of them.
No, we like him in this form.
Yes.
We do not feed him after midnight or water him or do any of the things.
Exactly.
But if you're curious, listen to the episode. So why are we here? Like, what are we talking about on this podcast?
Why are we here?
Because we just love to talk about needs.
Yeah, true story.
I mean, that's really what it is.
Basically.
People are like, you should do a podcast.
Here we are.
Ta-da! But why are we here? So we're here because of the universal needs. And the universal needs is a model and methodology where we help to change people's lives for the better, both personally and professionally. It's such a cool thing. It's something that when I first came to know about the needs and Claire and the work she did, I was like, okay, yeah, all right, sure. And then I'm like, oh, shit. Oh, wow, this makes a lot of sense. And here I sit years later, life completely changed. My world has changed for the better, professionally, personally, all of the things because of this. And we want to share it. We want to share it because it is so simple.
It is so simple.
Well, shit.
It really is that simple. And the thing is that as you will come to know through listening to the episodes, it applies to everything. Like at the moment, I have yet to find. I've been doing this work for over a decade now, and I've yet to find an area of life that doesn't relate to needs in some way, shape, or form, or isn't affected by it.
It's a challenge. Like if you come to us, let us know if you find that place, because she put the challenge on me years ago, and I'm like, yep, no. I see the needs.
Yeah, absolutely. So whether someone you know recommended us, whether you kind of met us, saw us on social media, you know us personally, or you've just stumbled across our podcast, we really want you to feel like you're just hanging out on the couch with us with your beverage of choice, hanging out, having a drink, and just chilling and chatting about life, the universe, and everything, basically, and how needs relates to all of those things. And it's important to, we realized a little bit, kind of we're a little ways into recording, that one of the things we wanted to do up front was we wanted to basically explain about the universal needs and give you kind of all the relevant and important essential information to know about up front in order to give kind of context to the rest of the discussions that we have. The only thing is, what it does is it means that the first kind of 10 episodes or so, we're a little bit content heavy. They're very much more on the theoretical side of things. And also, I mean, we were finding our groove because there was a point where we were trying to be perfect, right?
Trying is the lose. I mean,
yeah, we were trying very, very hard. Yeah. And now we don't do that anymore.
Because we're human.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we decided we are going to stop trying to do it perfectly. And, well, one, because perfect doesn't actually exist. But more importantly, we don't have everything planned out. It's very much more a conversation between the two of us, and we'll talk about things that come up in our lives, or about situations and scenarios that people reach out to us about, and we'll have more of a kind of conversation about. And you'll definitely get more of the real us the further into the podcast that you get. It's definitely less manicured and presented and performed. It's more like, oh shit, we've done this, okay, never mind, here we go, we'll carry on anyway.
Yeah, it's definitely real, it's imperfect, it's human, and as you listen, you will be reminded over and over and over again that we are all human. And like, and
you'll have a bit more fun.
Yeah, I mean, it's the first few episodes I was trying not to swear. Like, it was, they're a little bit awkward. I mean, at some point we had we'll get into our little switch over that we're doing as well with this. Well,
and at one point we were actually trying to like censor out the swearing. We actually had a little duck noise. I actually think the duck noise is still in the podcast, so watch out for that. Like, you have a little listen, you'll notice it doesn't last long. Like, that would have been a full-time job, editing Serena. So we decided that, oh, fuck it, we're going to go for it anyway. Oh my goodness, that means that I've dropped the first F-bomb if this is the first one they've listened to.
Holy fuck.
Yay! So there we go. So as Serena said, we also decided partway through that we were going to make a switch over in that what we used to do is we used to make our podcast available on Patreon for our subscribers. Now, we still have our Patreon, and that's still there if you want to go check it out. But we decided partway along that actually the most important thing was to have more people to get access to the podcast and to the vodcast, especially from an accessibility standpoint, but also just from there are people who don't really use Patreon. So we decided we were going to switch over to using YouTube. So you may hear on the odd podcast, go to Patreon to watch our podcast. Don't go to YouTube, because it's not going to be there anymore. So if you hear that, if you want to watch the vodcast, go and subscribe to us on YouTube, because every episode will be coming out in at the same time as our audio podcast drops on Spotify and Apple Podcasts and Google Podcasts and anywhere else that it's currently out, because you never know where it's going to end up in the future. So you'll be able to watch it there as well.
And we want to say, we know we have something that can help change your life for the better. That's why we're here. Like, we have a lot of things going on in our own life.
Sorry, I do this a lot. Serena says something, because we decided ahead of time we would say it, and then I go, oh, hold on a second. I'm going to say we are relatively sure, because there are going to be some people, like what we do is not necessarily going to work for everybody, because if you don't believe in it, it doesn't jive with you don't jive with us, and maybe it's like, actually, you know what? This isn't the thing for me. There are plenty of other things out there. But from our experience of working like across the world with innumerable clients in all different areas of life and all kind of different situations, and having run this podcast for quite some time in our Facebook group, the feedback that we get universally, I don't actually think we've ever heard someone come back and go, yeah, no, this doesn't work for me.
There's a little bit of like, there's little nuggets, and I think that's the thing. Like, even if the content as a whole or us as a whole doesn't quite resonate, there's going to be usually something somewhere in the series, because we talk about real life things, like Claire said, the first parts are kind of content heavy. They're a little bit more curated. They're a little less like, this is what's happening right now with other people or with us. And the longer we've recorded, the more we've gotten into that, and it's like we're taking the situations that we're experiencing in our daily lives, which are the general experiences that a lot of people are having. So
all the experiences that other people have that they're reaching out to us about and saying, oh, could you record an episode on how to deal with anxiety? Could you record an episode on how to deal with relationships or friendships or like work situations, boundaries? I mean, you name it. We either we've done an episode on it, or it's in our list to do an episode about,
or we're happy to do it. And that's the thing. Like, that's our favorite thing, is to get a request from a client or somebody from our social media or that's commenting on the podcast, being like, hey, you said this, can you go into it a little further? Like, can you go deeper? Can you do something on this? Like, we've had people request parenting shows. Like, neither of us are biological mothers. But and you'll see in some of our
we're not parents. We're not parents, biological parents, but we do have people who we have similar kind of relationships with. And also I've worked with clients who have had challenges with their children, and I've been helping them as parents better understand their needs in that situation, how they can navigate that, and also how they can better support the needs of their children in those situations as well. So while it's not something we have firsthand experience of from having done it ourselves with our own children, we do have experience of working with adults who have children and helping them to better support their children's needs.
So whatever you're listening to our podcast for, whether you're just, looking for a space to be yourself and join us on the couch to hear us chat, and, we're kind of funny.
We think we are, but I'm not sure everyone would agree with that. Whether you want to laugh at us or with us, either way.
Giggles will often be had.
Yes, very much so.
We speak to a lot of different areas of life, and professionally, we do business episodes, customer service episodes, and for
leadership,
those
all that kind of stuff. Yeah.
And the content heavy episodes, those first 10 to 15 episodes may actually be where people who are in this for the professional gains would want to start, because they are structured format.
Yeah.
They have a lot more of the nuts and bolts information. Now, from a personal standpoint, one of the things that we tell people is to look through our podcast episode, our episode list, and find an episode that resonates with you. Because the first ones, you might get in there and you're like, oh, wow, that's a lot of information. It's a little fire hosey where it's like, whoa.
I don't know what you're talking about.
It's a lot. Like, how does this apply to me? How does this apply to where I am?
Yeah.
Like I said, search the episode list, find one that resonates, and then as it serves you, go back to those original episodes. So you might be like, oh, they were talking about self first. What's that?
Yeah.
Okay. Episode guide.
Episode number 2, The Wisdom of Joey Tribbiani.
Yes.
Go learn about self first there.
So you can go back, and that's the way that you're going to figure out if, hey, you know what? They actually have something to say I want to listen to, or not for me.
Yeah. Well, and I think the other thing is that we do have a full episode guide online. We'll drop the link to that in the show notes section for this episode. So you can go onto, it's a Google Doc which anyone can access, and you can go on there and just search for the terms that you're looking for. So you might want to be searching for anxiety, you might want to be searching for work, you might want to be searching there for parenting, you might want to be searching there for, there's a whole range of things that you can search for, and that's the easiest way to find the episode guide. So what we always suggest is look for the episode that you think is going to make the biggest difference for you, for where you're at right now. What are you going through right now? Like, are you experiencing grief right now? Go listen to our grief series. If you're having challenges with your friendship, go listen to our friendship series, maybe the one about having the hard conversations. If you want to learn about, as I said, you're struggling with anxiety and you want to some coping mechanisms that could actually help you with your anxiety and understanding it a little bit better, there's an antidote to anxiety is one of our episodes. So go and look for the thing that for where you're at right now feels like it's going to be most relevant, because that's how you find out the power of this work, is that you is by having it relate to something that you're actually doing. I'm gonna go off on a slightly weird tangent for just a second. This reminds me of, I also, one of the things that Serene didn't say in my introduction is I'm a little bit of a geek. Teeny bit. I have a lot of inner geek to share with the world. So at one point, I worked in IT, and this reminds me very much of learning Microsoft Excel. Like, if anybody's used Excel, a lot of people use it to add up or create tables and things. Now, Excel's an amazing tool. It's got all of this great functionality in it. But if you go in and you just start trying to learn all the functionality, there's not enough room in your head for all of that. How I learned it was I needed to use it for something, and then I went and found, how do I use this tool for this thing that I'm trying to do? How do I pivot tables, if you don't know about what pivot tables are, you don't need to know what pivot tables are, but they're a tool in there, and it's a little bit mind bendy when you start using them. Now, if you're using them for something that they're there for, that's a good application of them, great. If you're just trying to learn about them for the sake of learning about them, it's going to go in one ear and out the other, because you're not going to retain it. And that's how you get to see how this work really relates to you, is by going, hey, I've got this thing going on in my life right now. How could this need stuff help me with this thing? And once you see that, you're like, oh, oh, and then what we often hear, well, that makes a lot of sense. And then you go, well, how about looking at how it applies to this, or how it applies to that, and how it applies to this? So like by going and finding the areas that you're going to that really resonate with what you've got going in your life right now. And as Serena said, if you can't find that episode, if you're looking for something going, hey, I've got this thing going on right now, there's no episodes, reach out to us. You can get hold of us via our email, info@theuniversalneeds.com, through our website, theuniversalneeds.com. You can get to us through our social media. You can comment on the in the comment section of the vodcast on YouTube. Like however you want to get hold of us, get in touch and go, hey, it would really help me to have an episode on this, or I've got this thing going on in my life right now and I don't really know what to do about it. Is this something that the Needs could help with? And the chances are the answer is probably yes. And we'll be more than happy to record an episode sharing about that.
And if you're wondering where the name of the podcast came from, I think this is kind of a good place to interject that. I mean, well, shit, it really is that simple. It actually came about as I was doing a deep dive through the program, and it wasn't a period that I was particularly doing well in. So
I mean, let's be transparent. It was in the middle of the pandemic. There was all kinds of upheaval in your working life. There was a whole lot going down at that time.
Yeah, it was the beginning of 2020. Yeah. So
everybody knows how good that was.
Yeah. On top of regular adulting and life, you get boom, March of 2020.
Yes.
And that's
welcome to the real world. It was a whole different world for everybody. And that was because everything kind of shut down, we took that opportunity to say, okay, let's take you through a deep dive of the work and get you to really understand what this is all about. Because you thought you knew, right?
Oh, yeah.
You thought you knew all about needs, right?
Oh, yeah. I'm like, I got that. Oh, yeah. Needs. Like, and I can only imagine listening to this podcast as somebody who's, that isn't living, breathing it, surrounded by it, thinking, oh, yeah, I get it. Oh, yeah, because it's so fucking simple.
Yeah.
It's so simple. And
I meet my needs. Yeah, I'm good.
Yeah. Like.
Which we all do. That's not untrue, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
And
how we meet them and why we meet them and
the ways we meet them,
all of the little things that go in there. We'd be going through the content and the name came about basically because the amount of times we were going through and I'm like, well, shit, really is that simple, isn't it? Like, and
well, I'd be like, yeah.
And then we were coming up with the name for the podcast and we're like, well, what should the name be? Let's something fun, something that grabs attention.
A little edgy, gives a personality.
What tells what we're doing? I'm like,
well, shit,
it really is that simple.
Yeah, because it really is. And it's the feedback we hear over and over again is that while there might be a lot of information to learn to really understand this, and there's a lot of nuance. You'll hear one of my favorite words. Serena's favorite word is boundaries when it comes to needs. My favorite word is nuance. So there's lots of layers to this. So it's like, yeah, most people understand needs at a very basic kind of superficial level because that's what we know. But actually once you dig underneath the surface, there's a whole little magical wonderland that exists for us that really helps us to kind of tap into the power of our needs and understanding how we can use this as a tool. Not only do we want to get to the point where our needs are being well met on a regular basis so that we're resourced, but how do we actually use this as a tool that as we're going through our day-to-day lives, this things come up, or there's this issue, or there's this situation, we can use this as a tool to navigate those situations. And that's the magic of this work. And that's the reason that while there's a lot in here, and I think there's a lot of unlearning that we do in this process as much as there is learning, when you actually get down to it and you understand it at a very basic level, it really is that simple. And there's a lot of nuance too. But that was too long a podcast name. So,
and with that, like, make sure as you're watching or listening to these episodes that you don't feel like you're like, oh, we talk about shame and we talk about, all of the things that we're conditioned to feel that may not be the most supportive to ourselves and where we're at. Take it and take what you can from it. Take one little nugget and apply that, or don't take anything and just be like, oh, somebody else gets it. Like,
yeah, that makes sense.
It
makes sense. That's helpful.
Yeah. Like we'd love for you to take all of it, absorb it up, and like
integrate it, embody it.
Yeah.
Because we've seen what happens when people do that. Like that
gets us excited.
Yeah. I mean, it's like people ask me what I do and I'm like, I've got the best job in the world. Like I have like people come and they're struggling and then we get down into the needs work and all of a sudden they're thriving, and it's and like the feedback we've had over and over again is like, oh my goodness, this is so much more helpful than my therapist, or oh my goodness, like can we get this certified in a university because people really need to learn about this. So we get great feedback on a regular basis, but the thing that we get over and over again is like, this has made such a difference to my life. So we know the difference it can make, and also honor where you're at. Like one of the things that's really important for us is to recognize that one of the things that is important to needs is honoring our capacity, like recognizing where are you at right now, what do you have the capacity for right now. If you've got the capacity to just listen to one episode and just take one thing from that one episode, great. If you want to go deep dive, believe me, we can dive deep. There's plenty of juiciness in here for you as well. Anything else you want to say before we kind of set you free into the world of, well, shit, it really is that simple, and say, go have fun, go find the things that resonate with you. There are some episodes that are very funny. There are some that even some of the serious topics, like we don't necessarily approach these things the same way as other people do. You're going to find some differing perspectives and points of view on pretty much any topic that we're going to come to.
Well, and different perspectives and points of view between the two of us as well. Like you'll get to see our relationship like this. What you get to witness via our podcast, either listening or viewing, is us. It is us in how we work. We call each other out on here. Yeah. We bring each other in on here. We correct. We want to like
and tweak and adjust. You'll often hear me go, hold on a second, I've just realized something new. And Serena's like, oh great, she's creating new content on the fly, new slides in my future. As in creating thereof for our program and stuff. So Serena's right. What you see is what you get. And this is the reason that we did this, is because there were so many of these conversations that we were having where we were just sat on the couch, sometimes an ocean apart because I was stuck in the UK and Serena was in the US. But we were just having these conversations, and we get to the conversation going, oh, wish we recorded that. So that would be really helpful. We know there are people who would really benefit from hearing this.
Well, and there's so many times we've had people come back being like, your episode was exactly what I needed today. Yeah. And it's like, they may not elaborate any more on that, but just whatever they were able to take from it, it's like, I don't even know what episode you're talking about, but I'm so glad to hear that. Like, I'm glad we recorded that one and the rest of them.
Absolutely. So if there's nothing more that you want to add in, we're gonna set you loose and say, go have some fun, listen, learn, and please do share these with other people. That's the other thing the final thing I want to say is that so often we've recorded these episodes because we know that there have been times in our lives where we would have wanted to hear them, or we would have wanted to have had that to send to somebody like, they're struggling with something right now. Here, you're struggling with anxiety. Here, go listen to the antidote to anxiety. You're struggling with grief. You're here. There's in fact, we actually had a client who recently. Our grief series isn't actually live at the time we're recording this, but it has been recorded and it's in our pipeline. And we had a client who was really going through something. We actually gave them access to the content earlier because they're a client, and said, hey, we think this would be really helpful. And they're like, oh my goodness, thank you, this is exactly what I needed to hear right now. So if you know somebody who could do with hearing what it is that we're sharing, please do share it with them. It's a great way of paying it forward. Like I paid it forward to Serena, and Serena's paid it forward to other people, and we would love for you to do the same thing and share these things where you think it would be helpful. So now go check out the episode guide below this, and just pick one. Start somewhere. And even if you don't know why you're picking it, if your gut is just like, I don't know why, I feel like I want to listen to this episode, it's not necessarily relevant right now. You never know what we cover in the episode, because we meander at times. There are some times where I'm like, well, like the amount of times we finish, we go, well, that went in a different direction to the way we thought it was going to. So like, listen to your gut. If like you're like, I don't know why, but this one's calling to me, go have a listen, have some fun. Let us know what you think. If you are If you enjoy what you're listening to, please do rate our podcast and leave us a written review, because it does help other people to find us. And let us know what you like. Let us know what you want more of. Let us know if there are some things that don't work so well that you'd like less of. And tell us the episodes that you want to hear, because we can't wait to record those too. So thank you for being here. Thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. We look forward to speaking to you real soon when you go and click on one of those episodes. And remember, in the meantime, to take care. We're sending you lots of love and to continue to meet your own needs. Bye-bye.
Bye, friends.